Evening. Our top story tonight, Joshua Kelley is RB1 this week. Last week, everyone played him. Everyone's excited about Joshua Kelley, but terrible matchup against the Tennessee Titans. It was a pass funnel defense that Justin Herbert had some success against, didn't score enough points against, lost the game when they shouldn't have. But this is the week you play Joshua Kelley. We've got that. We've got injury updates around the NFL telling you who you've got to start, who's healthy, and who you've got to start even if they're not fully healthy, as well as who is out and their replacements. We've got it all on Player Profiler Today. First and foremost, Joshua Kelley this week. He is an RB1. He very well could be the RB1 on the week. Austin Ekeler is officially out with an ankle injury. We don't know if it is a low ankle sprain. We don't know if it's a high ankle sprain. Whatever it is, Austin Ekeler out with an ankle injury, and Joshua Kelley is the benefactor. So if you were to go to playerprofiler.com right now, look at our rankings, unless they've been updated at this point to reflect Ekeler being out, Ekeler was the RB10. And that is where I would put Joshua Kelley, a one-for-one replacement. Usually I wouldn't do that with the drop-off from Ekeler to Kelley. But in this case, with all of these injuries at running back, yeah, I'm playing Joshua Kelley over pretty much everyone. Obviously, you played CMC last night, so that's one of those guys. Tony Pollard, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Joe Mixon, Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne, and Josh Jacobs. Those are the 8 guys I'm for sure playing ahead of Joshua Kelley. Throw in Derrick Henry. The only reason I'm not 100% on Derrick Henry is because he could miss with the toe/foot injury. I think Derrick Henry does play. And if Henry does play, obviously you're playing Derrick Henry over Joshua Kelley. But that's it. Miles Sanders, Ramondre Stevenson, Rachaad White, James Cook, Javonte Williams, James Conner, Kyron Williams, Aaron Jones, all playing behind Joshua Kelley. I am firing Joshua Kelley up this week against the Minnesota Vikings, a Minnesota Vikings defense that allowed DeAndre Swift to dominate for 175 yards and a touchdown. Could have had more scores, but you know the Eagles, when they get to the 1-yard line, they're going to sneak it with Jalen Hurts instead of giving it to the running back. But 6.3 yards per carry from DeAndre Swift on a hefty workload. 28 carries, if my memory serves me correct. And it wasn't just DeAndre Swift. This wasn't just a day where, oh, well, it's DeAndre Swift, Joshua Kelley, DeAndre Swift. They play different styles, so we can't just extrapolate that. Boston Scott averaged 8 yards per carry on 5 attempts. Obviously, Rashad Penny only had 1 carry, didn't have the same success, but it's 1 carry. It is a very small sample size. Joshua Kelley is about to go off this week. And without Austin Ekeler, he played 54 out of 68 snaps. We saw 9 snaps for Elijah Dotson and only 4 for Isaiah Spiller. These are not threats to Joshua Kelley. He is a full every down running back. Joshua Kelley ran 30 routes on 47 passing plays. That is pretty great from Joshua Kelley. Stayed in the pass block on 20% of his pass blocking or pass plays, whereas Elijah Dotson ran just 4 routes. CJ Spiller just 3 routes. Joshua Kelley, 13 carries last week against a stout Titans defense. Probably shouldn't have ran 13 times to Joshua Kelley. Probably shouldn't have ran 18 times total. Probably should have just kept passing and passing and passing against this Titans front. But Joshua Kelley dominated in carries. And in week 1, when Austin Ekeler was there, he actually had more carries. 16 carries in week 1 for Joshua Kelley. Now, week 2, averages 3 yards per carry. Not great, but he's still better than Elijah Dotson. Elijah Dotson, 1.5 yards per carry. Isaiah Spiller. I keep wanting to say CJ Spiller. Isaiah Spiller is a lot worse than CJ Spiller, but Isaiah Spiller averages 3 yards per carry on his 1 carry. So I'm willing to ignore it. I'm willing to ignore that efficiency, especially when the week before Joshua Kelley dominated 91 yards, 5.7 yards per carry. It was a tough matchup against the Tennessee Titans. One of the worst rushing matchups that there is. But so far on this season, even when you include the Tennessee Titans, 29 carries, 130 yards for Joshua Kelley on the season, 4.5 yards per carry. Now, he has 0 receptions, which isn't great, but he is out there running routes. And at some point, the targets are going to follow with Austin Ekeler out. They weren't checking it down against the Tennessee Titans. They were going deep. They were throwing it all over the field. But this is the week that you want to play Joshua Kelley. This is why you spent all that fab on him. Joshua Kelley is the real deal. Before we get to more news, before we talk about Thursday Night Football, though, we've got a word from the pod father.
Now, I know many of you are looking for a secret weapon for your Dynasty League, and I have it. It's called the Dynasty Dominator app. You go to the App Store, go to Google Play. It's right there. It's $5 to download, and then every year it's $5 to load the next incoming class of rookies. You can add Superflex, add tight end premium. It's incredible because it allows you to look up players. It allows you to vote on whether a player is a buy, hold, or sell, and then see the market sentiment on that player. And you can compare their lifetime value rating from Player Profiler to their Dynasty ADP at the FFPC, all in the price lookup tool. And beyond that, we have a trade analyzer, so you'll never lose another Dynasty trade again. And in our settings, you can set this is a win now team, this is a rebuilding team, and then we let you compare players. Look at their metrics side by side, prospect metrics, NFL metrics. It's all there. It's $5 in the App Store. There's some add-ons for Superflex and to buy the upcoming rookie class. Every year, you're going to spend $5 on this thing, and it's going to be well worth it. All right, I want to take a moment today to talk to you about data analysis. The data analysis tool, we listen to the users. What do you want? What do you need? And we made it happen. We added popular reports like a fantasy scoring report, air yards report. And if you want to create a new report, but you don't necessarily want to look through every field, we have quick results. Hey, show me the most popular passing data. Show me the most popular rushing data, fantasy data. Done. And the thing just is much faster than it's ever been. And the report builder got a lot easier. I mean, check this out. We break it down into offense, defense. Show me just fantasy data elements. And then when you get results, hey, show me by draft year. Let's take a look at just certain players that played a certain number of snaps or a certain number of games last year. This is the tool that so many of you have been asking for, plus a bunch of dream features that Billy wanted and Cody wanted and I wanted and Dario wanted. So go to the fantasy tools section, click on data analysis, or go to playerprofiler.com/data-analysis.
So a reminder, we are playing Joshua Kelley over pretty much everyone. There were only 9 running backs that we were playing ahead of Joshua Kelley. He is an RB1 this week. And Christian McCaffrey obviously is one of those players that we are playing ahead of Joshua Kelley. Always play Christian McCaffrey, the RB1. He was dominant last night. Once again, Christian McCaffrey is now second in the NFL with 14 rushing attempts in the red zone. The only player with more rushing attempts in the red zone is Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard in 2 games has 16 attempts inside the 20-yard line, whereas Christian McCaffrey has 14 in 3 games. Tony Pollard is that dude as well, but Christian McCaffrey goes off, even though Elijah Mitchell played quite a bit in the first half. Elijah Mitchell played 15 snaps on first down to 17 from Christian McCaffrey. Sorry, first and second down, but only 15 snaps out of the total 30 backfield snaps in the first half. Didn't end up getting the second half stats. Those were slow to come up, but lots of Christian McCaffrey. Elijah Mitchell shows up, but still so much Christian McCaffrey. Another touchdown, 12 games straight with a touchdown. 30 points for the 3rd straight game from the San Francisco 49ers. They win week 1, 30-7. Then they beat the Rams 30-23, and now a 30-12 victory that sees Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch get extensions today. Don't know how much longer they're signed for. Don't know the money. Just know that they have been given an extension. The 49ers believe in the system, the organization, everything that they've got going for them. The 49ers are in. So congrats to John Lynch. Congrats to Kyle Shanahan. And congrats to Brock Purdy, who was pretty elite against the blitz. And I know, Brock Purdy, when you watch him, it's not special. It's not spectacular. It's not exciting. You look at the efficiency metrics that he puts up, his EPA per play, it is out of this world. But it's because he's able to throw a screen on 3rd and 15 and get a first down. That's a bad play call for any other team except for the 49ers. The 49ers just have it. The 49ers with Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey. Okay, you can throw screen passes on 3rd and 15. You are the one team that is allowed to do it until it stops working. Then at that point, then I will write that play off again. Never run a screen on 3rd and long unless you have Deebo Samuel, unless you're Brock Purdy. But also, against the blitz, Brock Purdy goes 20 of 31. That is just under 66% of his passes completed against the blitz. That's pretty elite. 247 yards and 2 touchdowns from Brock Purdy. So it's not flashy. It's not spectacular. It is a lot of being carried by the rest of his offense. But hey, when it matters most, Brock Purdy is making plays against the blitz. Brock Purdy, better than Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones scoreless for the second time this year. But is it really his fault? Daniel Jones is pressured on 47% of his dropbacks through 3 games this year. This time, this game, he was pressured even more than Daniel Jones was pressured against the Dallas Cowboys. Insane. The offensive line for the New York Giants is in shambles. It's even worse, obviously, with left tackle Andrew Thomas out, but pressured on 47% of snaps. That pretty much means that 47% of snaps are a 30-60, 30-70% chance of success. It is very unlikely that you have success when you're under pressure. There are a few quarterbacks that can do it. Daniel Jones ain't one of them. So keep him clean if you can, but it's not going to happen. Anyways, this Giants offense is in such shambles that Darren Waller, 12 receptions on the year. That is 1 more than Paris Campbell. And Paris Campbell's been an absolute liability this season. He is not being good. He was bad in week 1, where I don't think he caught a pass. Maybe he caught 1. He was bad this past week, where he wasn't able to get out of bounds when the Giants desperately needed him to. Paris Campbell needs to get off the field. Put Jaylen Hyatt on the field instead. I know he's not a shifty slot, but Paris Campbell's not that shifty either. You can at least run vertical, and you can run drags and stuff like that with Jaylen Hyatt that you can't do with Paris Campbell because it just doesn't work. The Giants' ideal alignment on offense is Darren Waller at tight end, even though Darren Waller might be washed. Darren Waller was very frustrating, and this is coming from a guy who went all in on Darren Waller. I'm not dropping him yet. Not dropping him just yet. It's still September. Still lots of time to turn it around. But I am officially worried about Darren Waller. Officially on washed watch for Waller. And I hate it. But Paris Campbell needs to get off the field. Need Jaylen Hyatt on the field instead. And then you can have Isaiah Hodgins out at your X receiver. You can have Darius Slayton still on the field. You can mix in Wan'Dale Robinson, who came back 4 receptions for 22 yards, I believe was the final score. Or maybe it was 4 targets. I can't remember. Either way, the Giants would be a better football team with less Paris Campbell. And they didn't have a whole lot of Matt Breida. If you played Matt Breida, then yeah, he got Saquon Barkley type snaps, but only 7 touches for Matt Breida. You lucked out with the touchdown. It was a bad process play to play Matt Breida, and it still didn't end up being an overly successful day. He got, 10 fantasy points, if that? So no, Matt Breida was a bad process play. 7 touches. You're not playing him any other week. You are not playing this Giants backfield without Saquon Barkley in. And as for the Eagles backfield, I don't know what I'm doing with this Philadelphia Eagles backfield. I think I'm trusting DeAndre Swift. I think I'm putting him in that RB1 chair, but this also might be a committee. But it'll depend on who gets the hot hand. According to Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni, they are going to ride the hot hand on offense. And in week 1, that hot hand was Kenny Gainwell, although they didn't really give anyone else a chance to establish a hot hand. Kenny Gainwell gets 14 of the 16 rushing attempts by a running back, 1 carry for Boston Scott, 1 carry for DeAndre Swift. Then week 2 comes around. Kenneth Gainwell is out. DeAndre Swift gets 28 carries out of the 36 running back carries. We get 5 carries from Boston Scott, 3 from Rashad Penny. Boston Scott looks pretty good. Rashad Penny does not, but it seems as though Rashad Penny just doesn't have that juice anymore. But DeAndre Swift does. DeAndre Swift dominates on the ground. Kenneth Gainwell, fine on the ground, but not particularly flashy, not particularly exciting. So far this season, a 3.9 yards per carry from Kenneth Gainwell, but he's reliable, he's trustworthy, and in the passing game, caught all 4 of his targets for 20 yards. DeAndre Swift, a hell of a lot flashier, a hell of a lot more explosive. That's why he's averaging 6.1 yards per carry. But in the receiving game, he's only caught 4 or 5 passes. He is he has 6 receiving yards on 4 receptions. DeAndre Swift does, which is why they trust Kenneth Gainwell. So I expect this to be a committee. I surprisingly expect DeAndre Swift to be the early down back, the one getting the carries. DeAndre Swift last year was elite in terms of yards per touch. He led the NFL in yards per touch. Elite. But he couldn't stay on the field. And they can't always trust him. They don't always know if he's going to be reliable, if he's going to be in the right place in the receiving game. They know that with Kenny Gainwell. So when they go hurry up offense, the 2-minute drill comes, third down, I expect to see Kenneth Gainwell on the field. On first and second down, I expect to see DeAndre Swift, which is going to be a headache for all of the GMs that have either of these running backs. It's going to be a frustrating time. We're still waiting to hear about Derrick Henry if he is going to be out this week. He didn't practice yesterday with a toe and foot injury. I don't think he practiced today either, but I think he is officially limited, if I can find that out specifically. But I don't think we have any updates on Derrick Henry just yet. Nope. Unfortunate. So we're going to assume Derrick Henry does play. If he doesn't, Tajay Spears is a must start. Tajay Spears. I would go Joshua Kelley over Tajay Spears, but I might put Tajay Spears as my RB10 at that point. Ahead of Miles Sanders, ahead of Ramondre Stevenson, ahead of Aaron Jones, ahead of Kyron Williams, ahead of all these guys. I would be so in on Tajay Spears if Derrick Henry missed. I just don't think he's going to. But when we go back to these backfields that are ambiguous with injury, Justice Hill is out this week for the Baltimore Ravens, which means expect a heavy dose of Gus Edwards. But can Gus Edwards still handle that kind of workload? They recently signed Kenyon Drake to the practice squad. They're going to bring Melvin Gordon and elevate him from the practice squad. But what a dusty backfield. Gus Edwards versus Melvin Gordon versus Kenyon Drake versus the undrafted free agent Owen Wright out of Monmouth. Don't know anything about him. I don't know if he's dusty, but everyone else, Gus Edwards, Melvin Gordon, Kenyon Drake, dust. So that just means we're going to see more Lamar Jackson. He's going to put the game more in Lamar Jackson's hands. Maybe near the goal line, Gus Edwards gets a touchdown, maybe gets 2, falls forward into the end zone, but not particularly pretty this week for the Baltimore Ravens. I was much more comfortable when they had Justice Hill. You're playing Gus Edwards, not playing Melvin Gordon, not playing Kenyon Drake. Also going to be without their left tackle, Ronnie Stanley, and their center, Tyler Linderbaum, once again. The Saints are going to be without Jamal Williams. He did not practice for the entire week. They expect him to need some time to heal that hamstring injury that he suffered, which means Kendre Miller is going to be competing with Tony Jones for touches. And Tony Jones is the jaggiest jag to ever exist. Tony Jones is a jag, just a guy. Nothing spectacular, nothing special. No reason to have him on the field. Expect a heavy dose of Kendre Miller, especially because no Alvin Kamara. And they want to see if Kendre Miller can be the new Alvin Kamara. So I expect a heavy dosage of Kendre Miller on the ground in the passing game. Playing Kendre Miller. I am playing Kendre Miller in a league because I have no Saquon Barkley. I have no Austin Ekeler. This is a keeper league. That's how I got Austin Ekeler and Saquon Barkley on the same team. But both of them are out. My running backs are going to be Rachaad White and Kendre Miller. Wild times that we live in. Savon Ahmed didn't practice today. Don't expect him to play this weekend, which means we're going to see even more Devon Achane. Raheem Mostert has been a bell cow through the early portion of the season. I don't expect that to continue based on what we've seen from Raheem Mostert in the past. He can do individual games as a bell cow. He just can't carry it on for 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 weeks. At some point, he's going to take a step back. At some point, Devon Achane is going to have a game where he is the bell cow. And with that electric speed, we don't know if he'll let go, if he'll turn this into a committee where Devon Achane leads. Savon Ahmed being out opens the door for Devon Achane to blow up. We also saw Isaiah Pacheco return to practice. We're not particularly worried about him and his hamstring injury anymore. Play Isaiah Pacheco. Aaron Jones is questionable. Now we're still worried that he might not play. He was limited in practice throughout the week, but we'll wait and see. If Aaron Jones is active, I'm probably playing Aaron Jones. He is a high-end RB2, might be a low-end RB1, might squeak inside that top 12 if he's healthy, but Aaron Jones, you're probably playing Aaron Jones. You're sitting A.J. Dillon if Aaron Jones is active. Can't trust A.J. Dillon from what we've seen through 2 weeks so far. If Christian Watson plays, you're playing him as well. Took yesterday off, but that was a scheduled maintenance day. Christian Watson practices today. Expect to see him make his debut on Sunday. And if Christian Watson's in the lineup, you're playing him. That upside, that 2-3 touchdown upside from Christian Watson, you're playing every single week. You're also playing Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers practices in full. Jacoby Myers, week 1, 10 targets, catches 8 for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns before he takes a concussion off of a brutal hit, absolutely brutal hit, headshot, penalty, all that jazz. But Jacoby Myers is back, and this passing game is just Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers. Hunter Renfrow, even without Jacoby Myers, even after Devontae Adams left the game with a neck-head potential concussion, Hunter Renfrow, 1 target, 1 reception, not part of this passing game. Play Jacoby Myers for the Raiders, especially against a porous Steelers secondary. He is going to roast them. Obviously, you're playing Jaylen Waddle whenever he's in the lineup, but Jaylen Waddle, limited with a concussion today. All these other players with concussions, Anthony Richardson and the like, concussions, not playing this weekend. But Jaylen Waddle was able to return to practice today in a limited capacity. So there's a chance. We need everything to go right for Jaylen Waddle. We need these next couple days to be smooth, no injury. But if it happens, Jaylen Waddle could end up playing on Sunday, unlike Anthony Richardson, who did suffer a concussion, ruled out, hasn't practiced all week, out. We're going to see G-Money, according to their new head coach. G-Money is Gardner Minshew. It is Minshew mania instead of Anthony Richardson. And when Minshew took over the offense for Anthony Richardson, it was the same. They were still low average depth of target, a lot of run after catch. That's just the offense. That is the offense for the Indianapolis Colts. Gardner Minshew, I'm excited about him. I'm still excited about Michael Pittman. We'll see how it shakes out. We're also going to be without Bryce Young for at least this week, 1 game at the very minimum, possibly 2 games that we have no Bryce Young. Andy Dalton is set to start this week against the Seattle Seahawks. Next week could still be out. Bryce Young has an ankle injury that is likely to keep him out multiple games, potentially out multiple games. Either way, we'll get to see what Bryce Young truly is with this Andy Dalton start. Because Bryce Young's been bad so far, but is he bad because of the supporting cast around him? The fact that he has no help, the fact that Adam Thielen is unable to get open? Or if Andy Dalton comes in and the offense is suddenly looking better, that's an indictment on Bryce Young. There's still plenty of time for him to figure it out. Don't get me wrong. We just get to find out how bad this Carolina Panthers offense is, how much is on Bryce Young, how much is on everyone else. No Bryce Young this week at the very least. Dawson Knox looks like he's going to play. He was back in full, so that's good news. I was getting ready for a big Dalton Kincaid week if Dawson Knox had missed, but he practices in full with a back injury. I think he had a back injury throughout last year that he played through. I can't remember if I'm misremembering or not, but at some point, Dalton Kincaid can have a big week. Unfortunately, lost Trayvon Diggs to an ACL tear for the Dallas Cowboys. That was devastating. That was so sad. He was supposed to see Beyonce later that night for his 25th birthday. My heart breaks for Trayvon Diggs. And this Dallas Cowboys defense, this Dallas Cowboys team in general, they're going to shift things around and they'll be fine. Deron Bland, who's been dominant in the slot, he's going to shift outside. Jordan Lewis, their former starter in the slot, going to re-enter the lineup. So it's still a strong defense, just not the elite secondary that they had with Trayvon Diggs opposite Stephon Gilmore. But still pretty damn good. Final news around the NFL. A.J. Brown versus Jalen Hurts. We have finally heard talk about their blow up, their spat on the sideline. Turns out it wasn't about targets. It was about something else earlier in the game, or at least that's how A.J. Brown tells it. But even if it was about targets, I don't care. A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts are best friends. Stephon Diggs, we've seen get moody on the sideline plenty of times, and he still produces. A.J. Brown is that dude. There is nothing to worry about here, especially with Devontae Smith. He's a little bit banged up right now. He's dealing with what was he dealing with? He was limited with a hamstring and thigh injury. We don't expect Devontae Smith to miss this week, but A.J. Brown will get his. This very well could be the squeaky wheel game where the squeaky wheel gets the grease. We also have an update on Cam Akers. He is unlikely to play this weekend for the Minnesota Vikings. I think it's just a little bit too quick of a turnaround to put him in the lineup, but hasn't officially ruled him out yet. Just unlikely. And we also have an update on Cam Akers in the trade. Cam Akers must total 500 yards from scrimmage for the pick swap to happen. In order for a 7th and 6th round pick swap in 2026, Cam Akers needs 500 yards. So pretty much giving him away for nothing. Pretty much nothing. Pretty much for free. Because if Cam Akers doesn't get 500 yards, it is for free. What a wild, wild trade. Still can't believe how quickly Cam Akers fell out of favor with the Los Angeles Rams. But new beginnings with the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings haven't lost confidence in Madison, which I don't believe, but that's what their coaches are saying, that they still believe in Madison. I don't believe it. Cam Akers at some point is going to be the RB1, whether it's a 60-40 split, whether it's a 50-50 split. Cam Akers, 51-49. Cam Akers is going to be the RB1 for the Minnesota Vikings. Alexander Madison, it's over. It's over. He was never particularly good to begin with, and now he's going to be relegated. We also have an update on Aaron Rodgers, who expects to return to the New York Jets next week. Aaron Rodgers returning to the New York Jets. Now, I still don't believe that he's going to play this season. I really don't. It's insane. The timeline, even with this new surgery that they've come up with, the timeline for a playoff run is insane. And even if he returned, even if he does what he says he wants to do, if Zach Wilson gets them into the playoffs, you're really going to turn back to Aaron Rodgers at that point? It doesn't make any sense. But either way, Aaron Rodgers is returning to the New York Jets next week. He is going to be helping Zach Wilson. He's going to be helping the offensive coordinator, helping the whole team. That'll be a great morale boost for the New York Jets, but ultimately I don't think it ends up making a difference. I don't think they make the playoffs, and I think Aaron Rodgers gets to try again next year. But Aaron Rodgers did send a text to Jordan Love earlier today, or maybe the day before, or sometime earlier this week. Aaron Rodgers sends a little text to Jordan Love saying congrats on keeping ownership of the Chicago Bears. And what a week for the Chicago Bears. What a week for the Chicago Bears. We've got the Justin Fields versus his offensive coordinator feuding, allegedly, and then they're hugging at practice and all that jazz. We've got the defensive coordinator having his house raided, rumors swirling that the Bears were also raided. That ended up being not true, but there's still plenty of questions involving the defensive coordinator of the Chicago Bears. Apparently, the team hasn't even addressed it to the players yet, what's going on, which is really weird. And then the Bears go out and get $100,000 in equipment stolen from a garage. They had lost some gators, they lost some lawnmowers, they lost some equipment like that, but the Chicago Bears are just in absolute shambles, from the on the field to behind the scenes to the management to now the gardening staff who's being robbed. Chicago Bears. This new era of the Chicago Bears with Justin Fields and Ryan Pace and Matt Eberflus looks like it's over before it even started.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.